Hey, what's up? Welcome to this video. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and I am going to teach you how to do radiuses on your outer boundaries of your CNC projects when you're working in Vectric, whether Aspire, Desktop, or Pro. This video request came from Jake, who said, how do you do these radius things? So I created this, and you're going to learn a lot more because this turned into a full-blown how do you make a sign video with radiuses and adding all kinds of accents. So you're going to learn how to create radiuses in ways that are not just on a box, but in any kind of shape. So I put a post out not too long ago, said, what do you need? And I got a lot of response. So I have a lot of videos to make already. Jake just happens to be the first one, and you are going to be learning this along the way. So you're going to learn radiuses, and you're going to learn peck drilling. You're going to learn how to do a little bit of toolpath stuff and make a quick, awesome sign. So let's just dive right on in. And by the way, if you're a beginner CNCer and you're not sure what to do, feeling a little lost, this is the channel for you because I really take it at the layman's level to bring you up to speed, because that is my mission, to make you a master CNCer. All right, let's dive into software and have at it.
This is the best way of doing it. Ask you what you need, and you tell me, and I am at your beck and call. If you need some one-on-one help, you can always go down the description, schedule an hour with me, and we will walk you through. You know that when you have that one-on-one and someone is having you walk through the process, you get there a lot faster. Okay, so how do you create a radius on your projects, on your outer borders? So there's a couple ways you can do this, Jake. And I'm going to just start in Vectric. I have a project up, and it's a blank project. So first of all, let's just say we have a rectangle, and our outer border is a rectangle, maybe a flag or a sign, a very clear, simple shape. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and the rectangle box opens up here. Here's the first way. It's the easy way if you know ahead of time what you need. And that is by telling Vectric right here that you want rounded corners on your project. So being in the rectangle mode, you have three selections. And what this does is set the corner specifications when you create your rectangle. So the first one is to have square corners, for example, a square rectangle. So let's just draw a quick rectangle, and there we have square corners. And now we're going to take the second one, which is the radius external. Now you see this picture next to it, it just shows a box right now. But when we click the radius external, now the box has a radius on there. So it's just giving you an example of what that looks like. And just down below, it has a radius dialog box that has just ungrade. When you are in the square mode, you can't enter data here because there is no radius that you need. But when you get into the radius command, you can open that up and put a radius in. So let's just put in a radius. So you enter the value that you know. So we'll just say a 0.5 radius, and all we're going to do is draw our rectangle, and voila, look at that. We have got a radius on our outer edge. So we're going to go back into rectangle again and do the third selection, which is radius internal. Now when I click that, look what happens with that little box right there. So turned inward. And this is really cool for when you want to make signs, and I'll demonstrate that here briefly. So we have a 0.5 radius. Again, we're going to leave that field or that value there, and I'm going to draw a box, and look at that. Now we have a radius. The next way you can do this, if you have a box, well, let's do something a little different too. We're going to pick our polyline tool right here. That's the first thing where you draw lines. I'm going to select it, and I am going to just make a funny kind of shape. And we're going to come down here. My snaps are turned on, so it'll grab that corner, and here is your snap button right here. And as soon as that little black dot shows up, it's going to pick up that point. Yep, no, there we go. Okay, actually this is going to be good because this is going to excuse me, show you something where it won't work. Okay, so we'll come back to that one in a minute. Now I want a radius on my box that all my project work is done on the inside. What I'm going to do is select, I don't even need to select the box. Down here under Edit Objects, there is a little feature called Fillet. Create fillets between spans. Okay, a fillet is a radius or some other types of items that you can add to this. But what we want is the very first one, radius fillet or a normal fillet. So what that's going to do is that's going to create a radius on the corners that we select. And we just need to put in the box up top our value. So we're going to put in a 0.5 and we are ready to go. All we have to do is hover over that corner and click, and there are your radiuses. So pretty cool, huh? All right, so I'm going to show you now what happens here. We have a 1/2 inch radius, and you see that, you know, relative to some of these corners, that's a pretty big radius. So we got this radius. It is obviously not going to fit this corner. So if I try to click it, it's not going to do anything because the dimension right here on this part of the line is too small. So it can't create a radius on that corner or that corner. I am trying to click the corner and it's not working. But now watch this really sharp corner, what happens. It radiused all the way around there. And it's going to do that with these kind of corners. So I can smooth all of my radiuses in one time. Now I'm kind of curious. I wonder if I can highlight. Nope, I can't grab everything and highlight. So now I have just smoothed all that stuff out. So Jake, now you know how to do a radius. Now I want to show you a little cool feature. So let's do this. We're going to draw another rectangle, and this is the outer boundary of our sign. Okay, so the reason it did that was because the last time we were in radius, or in rectangle, the radius internal was selected. And so when we open it up again, it defaulted to that. Now you see these buttons are highlighted here around the corners. That is like the actual corner of the rectangle, and then you have the radius feature. So if we just switch it to square, and down here at the bottom it says apply. Now I want to show you something. I'm going to just hit the apply button, and I want you to watch this rectangle, and now it turns square. I'm going to get out of rectangle for a second. No, I'm just going to create a new rectangle. Just right here. And I want you to see down here, it says apply again. Now we're going to close that, and we're going to go back into rectangle, but we're going to unhighlight this box here. We're going to go into rectangle, and now I want you to see down here, it says create instead of apply. And the reason is because we don't have a rectangle that we are working with right now. If I go and select a rectangle while I'm in the rectangle mode, not to take that back, I have to be out of rectangle mode, and I select the rectangle and go into rectangle. Now it says apply. So it's coming in with a selected rectangle, and it's thinking, okay, we're going to be doing work to that rectangle. So we had a square rectangle that we selected, and we went back into this, and we wanted radiuses on this. Instead of having to pick all the four corners using the radius or the fillet tool, we can just select the rectangle, go back into rectangle mode, and simply come back over here to this corner type and click radius and put in our value of 0.5, and then come down and apply, and it takes care of all four corners at once. Now it doesn't have to be a rectangle. It can be a shape like this. In fact, let's do that. Let's maybe it can. No, it can't do that because it's not a rectangle, I don't think. So we're just gonna come down here and escape, and I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna go to rectangle. And so that's not a technical rectangle, so it's not going to let me mess with that. So I just learned something myself, what I can't do. Okay, so finally, we're almost done. I just want to show you a little trick because that's what I do in every single video. We are going to create a rectangle and we're going to set it to square corners, just like that. The thing is, we're making a sign, right? And we want this sign to jump out. So that's the outer boundary of the sign. And I'm going to close that and go to the offset button down here. Under offset and layout, it's going to be the very first button, and it says offset when the little screen pops up. You're going to click that. And we have the current rectangle highlighted. So it is referring to that when it's going to make an offset. Now an offset will take the shape and expand it it'll create a second shape on the outside or the inside based on an offset distance that we create, which is right here. So up here it says outside or to the right, inside to the left, and then both. If you click both, it's going to put it on both sides of the rectangle. But in fact, let's just do it. We're going to click both and we're going to say offset by 0.5. Now watch what happens. We got our base rectangle picked out, and it's going to put one on the inside and one on the outside in the same proportions as the one that exists. I'm going to hit offset and bam, there it is. So let's get into that little thing I wanted to show you. I kind of sidestepped. So I'm going to delete the outside one that just got created. And now we want to pretty up our sign a little bit. So watch this. We're going to put 1/2 inch internal radiuses on the inner box and 1/2 inch external radiuses on the external box. So I'm going to select the rectangle, go into rectangle mode, and we're going to select radius internal. Since that's an internal rectangle, we're going to click it and we are going to go at a 0.5 internal radius and apply. And there it is. Now, we already have a cool sign, right? That just added a buttload of accent to this whole thing. And then we can take the outside one, click that, go back into rectangle, and change this to external radius. It's got the 0.5 value in it. Now, we probably want to go with a 1-inch radius, but let's see what happens. We click that, and now we've got an external radius, but it doesn't look totally natural because the circle is going to kind of come, it just doesn't look quite right. So we're going to control, well, you see this green dot here? That means that this rectangle is still active. We can change it while we are doing what we are doing right now. So I'm going to change that to a 0.75, select apply, and it changed it. And it looks like it obviously went worse. So I'm going to go to 0.25 and select. So it looks like 0.5 was probably the right number to use, 0.5. All right, so we'll just go with that and escape. And now we have double radiuses. We did it all in pretty much 2 operations there. It took me longer to explain it than it would have taken for you to actually do it. And here's another little final tip for you. Let's say we made a sign. We got pretty stuff on the inside. Let's just put some pretty stuff on the inside. Since we are CNC junkies, we're just going to type CNC, and that is going to be our sign. We're going to expand that to the right size and put it right there. And then we have this amazing sign. Close. Now I can enclose that in a box, but that's for another video. And we're going to put our mounting holes on here. So what we're going to do is just go up to hole, circle, and create a hole. And circle is under create vectors. It's the very first selection. And we want our circle to be 1/4 inch for, make it 1/8 inch for an 1/8 inch diameter screw. And we are going to select diameter. And down below, it's just going to be 1/8 inch, 0.125. And we can either hit create and it's just going to punch it in somewhere, or we want it to be at a very specific location, which would be the center of that radius. So with our snaps turned on, we come over and hover over the line for a minute, and then we start to move across, and you see it's creating dotted lines, and all of a sudden I get this crosshair. When I'm there, I just click, and there is my screw hole. And I just do the same all the way around. There's other ways to do this, but that's for 4 holes, that's fast enough. We'll do that, and that. And I have to do one more thing. for you, Jake, to make this video proper. So we've got our mounted holes. We're going to go click this CNC. We're going to go back and click our text button. And we're going to change CNC to Jake. There we go. Very cool. Should I carve this? Yes or no? Say it. Yes or no? Okay. We'll go just a little further, show you a couple more tips. Now that J looks funny relative to this text. I mean, it's like somebody was working on a different scale. Bizarre. And this is, what's that font? Let's click it and go back into it. And it's Mongolian Batty. Very strange. Okay, we'll pick a different text. Jake. Yeah, I like that much better. Okay, now Jake, I want you to see something. You see how your letters are crossing over here? We got to fix that. So here's how you fix that. No, you're getting more tips. What a great video. Okay, so I am coming over to, you see where you have the letters, and then we have draw text within a vector box, and then we have edit text spacing. This is such a great feature. No one else has ever thought of this except for Vectric, as far as I know. We're going to click that, and now you look at my cursor, and these little weird things start to show up. We got a couple little arrows in there. It says V and A, and it's got a little plus. Watch what happens when I click. Watch the A and the I. Bam, bam, they come together. So what I'm going to do is hit, I think it's Control. Nope. Oh, when you hit Control, like, it will jump a lot more. So I'm not holding down Control right now between the J and the A, and it just moves in a little bit. But when I hold Control down and click it, it jumps a whole lot. It's Shift. Hold the Shift button down, and it'll start to spread. If you hold the Shift and Control down, it'll jump. So we got to get the A and the E and all that stuff separated out so the carve looks good. Now I'm going to go Shift and spread that out a little bit more, and then I'm going to let go of the Shift and bring the E back in just a little bit. Jake, your sign is looking awesome. So it's going close to the edge. Let's just click that twice and shrink it down. I'm holding Shift down so it shrinks down based on center. There we go. Jake, I should just give this to you. We'll run a quick toolpath. For all intents and purposes, this video is done to answer how you do radiuses. But I'm just going to generate a quick toolpath on the sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to recess the rectangle, and we're going to let Jake pop out. So we're going to select from the rectangle and into Jake. So now we have that done. We're going to do a pocketing cut. And I am going to select two router bits, the 1/4 inch and the 1/8 inch. And the reason is because the 1/4 inch is not going to clear all the stuff out. I'll show you what I mean. We're not going to go too deep. We're going to go 0.1 deep. Then I've got my 1/4 inch router bit set. We're going to go in raster mode right down here. When you're doing carves and you're doing big pockets like this, you have the offset feature. And this is where a lot of people don't understand why they're getting a lot of witness marks in their projects. Because when you're doing an offset, I'm going to click that. You see how this box that kind of goes around and around and around inside? Well, that's what it's doing out in the project. The router bit's going to come down, and it's going to go round and round and round between the J, the K, and the E. Then it's going to come up, and it's going to pick up right here, and it's going to start going around and around and around, and then it's going to pick up and come in here and start going around and around and around in circles. So you have all this circular mark, which doesn't, it goes against the grain, literally. So what you want to do is do a raster. Now I'm going to click that, and you see the raster goes side to side. So what that's going to do is the router bit will come down, and it's going to go back and forth, and it's going to go along with the grain around everything. And this is just another little technique that you want to do to avoid witness marks and eliminate a lot of sanding and make your carves look a lot better. So we are set up on raster. We are going to come down and call this Jake's Awesome Sign. Yeah, sign. There we go. And calculate. And then we're going to give it a little bit of color. So we're going to come up here while Jake's Awesome Sign is highlighted down here. We're going to, what color, Jake? What do you think? Let's try gold. I like the gold color. And then we're going to just preview the toolpath. And there is Jake's sign. Look at that, Jake. Okay, so we did this with a 1/4 inch end mill. So you see in the A, it's not very sharp there. Now here's something about the raster. You see that J right there? It's kind of messed up. The raster does not come in and do the final profile. So the way we're going to fix that is we're going to go up to Profile, click that. We're going to split our screens, and we're going to come in and we're going to deselect those things and just select Jake. And our profile, we want to make sure our depth is the same as the other one. So right up here, we're going to change it to 0.01. 0.1. We're going to do it with a 1/4 inch end mill. You might be able to do it with an 1/8 inch end mill. We want to make sure we're set on the outside. And we're going to name it. Always name your stuff. Always, always, always. And we're going to call it Jake's Finished Awesome Toolpath. And calculate. And we are going to run that toolpath. And there it is. Now look at the J. It is much cleaner. So that's how you fix that kind of stuff. And if we don't like, if it's not crisp enough for us, like we want the A to be more sharp, then what you'll do is go back into Jake's Awesome Toolpath, Awesome Sign, Jake's Awesome Sign, the gold part. And we're going to come up into the Tools field, and we're going to add another one. So we're going to just hit the select button, and we're going to use an 1/8 inch end mill. So I plug that one in, and you see the 1/8 inch is the second bit there. That's the way we want it. The way this works is whatever bit is on top is the first one, and then the second one would be the second one, the third would be the third one, and so on. So we're going to select that, and what this will do is it'll come back in on its finished cuts. And I'm going to back up. No, we're going to cancel that. What we're going to do is we're going to fix this in the Profile toolpath. So I'm not going to fix it in the Profile toolpath. Yeah. Okay, so let's change that Profile toolpath to an 1/8 inch router bit instead of a 1/4. And then we select OK and rerun it. We're going to calculate that. And what I want to do is reset. And then I'm going to preview all toolpaths. Oh, okay. So, yep, this is exactly what we want. Look how much better that A looks. Here, let's expand that for you. So everything looks good. This is probably not a good font to use for this, and I'm going to give you a little tip right now. You see how sharp these corners are right here? You're probably going to break the material as you're doing that. So the way to get around that, if you absolutely gotta have this font, and there is nothing else that's going to, you die or use this font, then what you want to do is two things. The first is you probably want to run the 1/8 inch toolpath before you run your other toolpaths. Meaning, down here, you'll want to take Jake's Finished Awesome Sign and click that little arrow right there and move it up. That way there's a lot of body still in the project, and you may even want to slow it down and add more toolpaths. I will show you how to do that right now. So we are going to go back into Jake's Finished Awesome toolpath, and we're going to double click it, and we're going to go into edit the toolpath. You can see right now it's only making one pass. So I'm going to edit it, and we want to change our depth. So that's our pass depth. And right now it's at 0.1 inches. This is a 1/4 inch end mill. So we're going to change that to 0.025. So it's going to make 5 passes. And it says 4 passes. So calculate out 4. I'm going to take a look at this button here. It says edit passes. This is the other way you can do it. And it says 4 passes there. We can change the number of passes right here. So there's a couple ways you can do it. If we wanted to do it in a whole bunch of passes, the more passes the better, because the less breakage, but of course there's an offset. It's going to take a lot more time. So we're doing it 10 passes. I'm doing it, yeah, 10 passes. Click calculate and run all toolpaths. And you won't break it when you do it like that. Jake, I hope you like your sign. I have to do one more thing before I end the video. I got to finish the sign, right? So we're going to close that. We're going to go into the split screen. We are going to select the outer boundary, and then we are going to use profile. We're going to select that. We're going to use the 1/4 inch router bit. Select it. And we're going to be on the outside up here. We want our cut depth to be the full depth. So we're going to say Z equals, and that set us up. And then we're simply going to run this. I could call it cutout. Just always name your stuff. Cutout. And then I keep forgetting to tell you, put in the router bit you're going to be using, because that'll show up in the program name, the G-code name. Click calculate, run the toolpath, and there we go. And then we're going to do the holes real quick. So if you buy the router bits that I sell, you will get a 1/8 inch end mill, a 9th bit, that will allow you to cut these holes. You're going to get something else. We're going to peck drill. Okay, by the way, if you want a full set of router bits, then the link is down below to go get that, and you'll get a whole bunch of vector files with it. By the time most companies give you router bits, right? You can buy it, and that's what they give you. Not me. I give you vector files and instructions and videos. So you're not just getting the tool, you're getting the things that will teach you how to work with them. This is about going the extra mile so you get there a lot faster. So we are going to do this. We are going to select each hole. So I'm going to take my arrow and drag from the lower left to the upper right, or it can be from the upper left to the lower right. And I'm just picking all 4 holes, and we are going to use the peck drill cycle. Something I've never done on videos before. Jake, you got me rocking and rolling. Okay, so I've hit the peck drill. I didn't show you where that's at. It's got all these little shotgun holes in the little image right there. So that's the 3rd item under toolpath operations. Select that, and we have a couple of options here. Now I'm going to keep this a little simple. The first one is our start depth, which is 0, the top of the material. The cut depth is going to be the depth of the material. It's 0.75. You can enter Z equals, and that'll set you up. And now we have to select the router bit. So I am going to select the 1/8 inch router bit. Now I know that this is the bit. It's the same feeds and speeds as the regular 1/8 inch router bit, the down cut. This drilling bit is an upcut bit. It's got a special tip on the end, but it's the same feeds and speeds. So we're going to select it and go with that. So now you have 2 selections: retract above the cutting start depth and retract above the height of the previous pass. So if you were going to go really deep into the project, you want to select the first one. And what that'll do, let's just show you. It will, okay, let's just pretend this is the top surface right here, and that's the bottom surface. And you follow my cursor. When we have select retract above the cutting start depth, this 0 points the start depth. So it's going to peck down a little bit, and it's going to pull all the way back up out of the material. Then it's going to peck down further, pull all the way back up out of the material, peck down further, all the way back up out of the material until it works all the way through. The point is, every time that ends that peck, it's going to pull all the way out of the material. If you have the second one set, retract above the height of the previous pass, it'll come down to its first peck depth and just back up whatever we tell it to, and then start going in again, back up a little bit, in again, back up a little bit until it's done with that. And you set that depth right here, the retract gap. So our retract gap, we're going to say 0.1. If you are going deep into a project, you want to use the first selection. In this case, I think we're going to, because it's not a big bit, and you want to make sure that the chips get cleared out from around the flutes. So we are set there. I'm not going to go through the rest of this stuff. We're just going to say mount holes, Jake's sign mounting, and hit calculate and run it. And bam, 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 bam. Uh-oh. They can't run it because I got to go back into it because I had the wrong thing selected. Okay, so I selected all the holes, I calculate, and there are our drill holes in every one. We're going to run that, and look at that. So we have mounting holes on our project. You look at the back, and there they are. All right, there. All right, this is going to end the video. Give me a thumbs up if this is helpful. And remember, I got router bits, sets for beginners. Nobody sells sets except for me, at least for the beginners, right? The full-blown set. So the link is down below. Give me a thumbs up if this helped you out, and a comment would be greatly appreciated. This is Garrett, and I hope you have a great day and better tomorrow.